comment. If you would, there are slips, I think, on the back counter in the back of the room. We would like to have people fill those out with your name and address if you would, but please come forward if you would like to speak on this matter. Name and address for the clerk, please.
Yes, she already has my form. Stephen Shellen,
Gotcha.
property is South 31 West 24841 Sunset Drive. Thank you for the explanation. I see now where you plan to spend the money, at least initially. I have some questions, like, are there further plans in changing the long-term plans of the town to change the zoning so that businesses move along Sunset Drive to the west as they have to the east? And similarly, across the road, we lost part of the town when there was a big discussion about entrances and businesses in the old food store, which is now St. Vincent de Paul, and now we have some businesses there that are not providing revenue to the town because they got annexed to Waukesha. Our property is the second from the corner on Sunset and Prairie, and basically our services are provided by Waukesha. They plow the road. We used to have land that was several lanes out. When they put in the road, they took part of the property, took a lot of nice trees and things. So is this, in the eyes of the Plan Commission and the town, is this going to be pushing towards commercialization on our side of the road? And if so, what protection or what eyes does Waukesha have to take us out of the town and put us in the city? Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Andrews. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of Waukesha, and I'm here today to make some remarks on behalf of the city. I'm providing my remarks in a written format along with some exhibits. I'm asking that those be included as part of the public record for this public hearing and also be conveyed to the Joint Review Board as part of their planning document review at their next meeting. I've been involved in the creation of 15 Tax Incremental Finance Districts and the management of 17 Tax Incremental Finance Districts. In 2014, I was chosen as a member of the State of Wisconsin Legislative Study Committee on Tax Incremental Finance, and I've also been a presenter at Tax Incremental Finance seminars. As a Community Development Director, I manage the planning, building inspection, economic development activities, and staff for the City of Waukesha. So just a little background about myself, since I don't know most of you here. After reading the project plan, examining the physical area, and reviewing the regulations and agreements currently in place, the City of Waukesha believes it's premature to approve TID number 1. There are areas that stand out as either deficiencies in the plan or as conditions that make the plan infeasible at this time. The but-for test, as required by the statute, is not met. The town is not in control of the zoning within the proposed boundaries, and therefore the development cannot occur as stated. The town has not insured utilities to new or expanded facilities, and the plan does not address why the property owners along industrial lanes should not pay for those public improvements, as required by the statute. The Wisconsin Department of Revenue has published a TIF manual to assist communities and joint review boards with TIF creation. In this manual, the Department of Revenue provides guidance regarding the but-for test previously mentioned. Some of the advice the department provides in the manual when considering the but-for test is that before the joint review board members agree to the but-for finding, they must have convincing evidence showing the TIF is necessary to make the development possible. Also, would the expected development occur without or but for the use of TIF? Would the development occur if the project was scaled back or in a time frame pushed out? Did similar projects proceed without the use of TIF? This is some of the advice provided by the Department of Revenue. When reviewing the plan in the context of this advice, the current physical conditions in the proposed district, and again, the underlying regulations and agreements in place, it's clear the but-for test has not been met. The plan states development would not occur without TIF assistance. Recently, there have been new developments and building improvements made on Sunset Drive in the proposed TID boundaries. The first is Storage Masters, which built a new facility in 2016-2017, increasing the property value from $390,300 to $1,840,200 without TIF assistance. They purchased an existing property with structures, raised those structures, and built a new facility without TIF assistance. The second recent development was on the Bliffert Lumber property, also on Sunset Drive. Bliffert Lumber made significant building improvements in 2019 without TIF assistance. If the town desires to promote commercial development on Sunset Drive in areas that are currently residential, the first step would be to rezoning the area to commercial. Once rezoned, the properties could be properly marketed to investors and developers. There doesn't need to be a TIF in place to rezone the Sunset Drive residential properties to mixed use or commercial and facilitate a change in use. It's unclear if the owners of these properties or the owners of the residential properties to the south abutting the identified properties are aware and supportive of the town's intention to make that area a commercial strip. The plan states that the values are low compared to the City of Waukesha's TID 12 and TID 14 values. The proposed redevelopment in the town's proposed TID number 1 is not comparable to the projects that occurred in the city's TID 12 and TID 14. The commercial development in TID 14 is part of a large commercial center with shared facilities including stormwater management, parking, loading areas, access, signage, landscaping, and utility mains. These shared facilities allow for larger building footprints. In addition, the commercial area in the city's TID 14 is 64.67 acres, creating a regional shopping center that's successful because of the shared clientele it draws to the businesses in the center. The new commercial is in the proposed TID number 1 is only 8 acres in size and would be a standalone development on small, shallow lots. The shallowness of the lots on Sunset Drive in the current residential area limits any commercial development potential once the town's setbacks are met and parking, on-site stormwater detention facilities, and landscaping are added to those sites. It will be very difficult to convert those properties to a sustainable commercial use. Similar values per acre to those in the city's TID 14 are unlikely. In addition, there would not be the synergy created to attract customers among these standalone developments that's seen in the larger commercial center. Another reason the town's TID number 1 is not comparable to the city's TID 14 is the property redeveloped as commercial in TID 14, now the site of the shops at Fox River, was the site of a vacant distribution center. The town is not proposing to redevelop a vacant blighted property. All the properties are currently in good condition and being utilized as they are currently zoned. The city spent significant TIF money up front on environmental cleanup, demolition of 616,000 square feet of building, extensive infrastructure improvements, and site preparation. Evidence of these types of barriers to development is not present in the project plan. The plan also makes comparisons to the industrial development that occurred in the city's TID 12 and TID 14. Again, the town's TID is not comparable in project plan or physical attributes to TIDs 12 and 14 in the city. The properties in those districts in the city that were identified for industrial uses were vacant with no infrastructure in place prior to the TID being created. The city spent significant TID money up front to prepare the properties for development, including the installation of infrastructure, including new roads and new utilities. The town's TID plan states it may repave an existing road. This type of maintenance work is more appropriately budgeted for through the CIP budget or assessed to the property owners that benefit instead of creating a TID to fund maintenance work. And then I provided some exhibits of those TIP districts that were referenced in your TID plan. The project plan states that there are aging buildings on some of the sites. The age of a building is not the sole determination of its usefulness or value. The city has buildings that are more than 100 years old and add significantly to employment and the economy and tax base. The plan states that reconstruction of Industrial Lane is needed because the adjacent properties use part of the right-of-way for parking, making it less accessible for truck traffic. The reconstruction will include curb, gutter, and storm sewer. The project plan states that the town may make the road improvements. Since the premise of creating the district is that the improvements are needed to increase values and attract development, there should be a clear commitment to do that work. In several recent visits to Industrial Lane during regular business hours, no on-street parking was witnessed. If there is a verified issue with on-street parking, road reconstruction is not needed to eliminate unwanted parking on the street. This can be achieved through no parking signage and active enforcement of the no parking zones by the town. The plan does not say that the road will be widened to accommodate truck traffic. Trucks travel down roads with or without curb and gutter the same. What makes a true difference is the width of the roadway and the enforcement of no parking. Installing storm sewer, curb and gutter will not improve truck accessibility or property values. It appears this is a routine maintenance project for Industrial Lane that would be more appropriately addressed in the town's regular CIP budget. The project plan does not provide evidence as to why the public improvements should not be paid for by the owners of the properties that benefit along Industrial Lane. This evidence is required by statute. The project plan states strategic investment in street improvements, direct development incentives will be needed to achieve significant increases in property value. There is no evidence given to support this finding. There are two significant impediments to implementing the project plan for TID number 1 as proposed. The first is the lack of zoning control for the properties within the boundaries of TID 1. The City of Waukesha enacted extraterritorial zoning in the boundary area of TID 1 on November 5th, 2019. Extraterritorial zoning freezes zoning and uses until there is an agreement between the city and the town on these matters or the extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction expires. Furthermore, all conditional uses and variances must be approved by the City of Waukesha. The town's project plan relies on rezonings to occur and potentially new uses to move into the district to realize the investment and redevelopment it is projecting. Neither one of these things can occur until the city and town have reached an agreement on zoning. The statute permits a 2-year time frame in which the two entities can reach this agreement. It's premature to approve TID 1 until the extraterritorial zoning has expired or agreement has been reached between the city and the town. One area of disagreement regarding zoning and land use is the residential properties along Sunset Drive. The plan states the residential uses are no longer compatible to surrounding land uses. The city purposely retained residential uses on the south side of Sunset Drive when redeveloping the former Fleming distribution site on the north side of Sunset Drive, the current shops at the Fox River. Sunset Drive provides a 100-foot separation between commercial and industrial uses to the residential uses. The residential properties also provide a transition into the extensive subdivision network south of Sunset Drive. Eliminating the housing on the south side of Sunset would degrade the value and integrity of the abutting subdivisions. It would cause an unnecessary invasion into the residential fabric of those subdivisions by adding commercial activities, lighting, and noise that would devalue the closest residential properties to this new commercial area. The small commercial strip center directly across Sunset Drive from the homes shown as the new commercial property in the project plan has had vacancies for a significant period of time. This is potentially an indication that an additional small commercial strip space is not needed in the market at this time. More commercial uses on Sunset Drive would cause additional traffic on both Sunset Drive, Center Road, and Prairie Avenue, adding to congestion and requiring additional street improvements. The town's plan does not address the addition of turn lanes or acceleration or deceleration lanes on any of these streets to accommodate additional traffic and turning movements. The city has made improvements to Sunset Drive according to the current development pattern. The city will not support any new uses or zonings that would require additional city taxpayer dollars to complete improvements on Sunset Drive. The project plan also does not anticipate any costs related to relocation, acquisition, or demolition. Considering the proposed district is completely developed, it would be assumed that some of these costs would be likely to implement the plan. The plan states that it's consistent with the town's comprehensive plan in terms of land use. The town has not completed changes to its comprehensive plan, so therefore it's not accurate at this time. Furthermore, if the town does complete the modifications to its comprehensive plan, the TIF plan will still be inconsistent with the county's comprehensive plan, which will halt any rezonings or land use changes. The second impediment to implementing the project plan is that the town cannot ensure utility service to any new or expanded facilities, and therefore does not meet the statute. The city will not provide water or sewer service to new users or increased facilities. The 1988 agreement was made to address the needs of the existing land uses at that time. The city has met its obligations under that agreement. New commercial uses or expanded industrial or commercial uses will likely require sprinklers per state fire code. Therefore, changes to structures are likely to require increased water service, which the city will not provide to town properties. Likewise, any development that will increase sewer usage will not receive service from the city. The city will not permit any connections to its storm sewer system. In addition, the city will not accept additional stormwater runoff from any new impervious surfaces in the town of Waukesha and its existing facilities. Owners of properties that are increasing their impervious surface must retain their stormwater on site and not direct it to the city's existing facilities on Sunset Drive. The city has extensively studied stormwater runoff citywide and invested millions of dollars in its storm sewer system to eliminate flooding. The study did not include picking up additional flow from the town of Waukesha properties. The town should invest in its own stormwater management facilities if they are needed. After a careful review of the project plan, the only conclusion to be drawn is that it is premature to approve TID number 1. The town has not provided convincing evidence that the but-for test required by the statute has been met. The town cannot ensure utility services for the new developments in the TID as required by statute. The town does not have zoning authority at this time to implement the plan, and the town has not shown by statute why those property owners along Industrial Drive should not pay for those maintenance improvements to Industrial Lane. Furthermore, it appears the public infrastructure maintenance project of Industrial Lane and adding curb and gutter would more appropriately be addressed in the CIP project or assessed to property owners. The town does not commit in the plan to completing the actual work, which proves that the project does not meet the but-for test. There may be a time in the future when a TID in this area may be warranted, but it is not warranted at this time, and the plan cannot be implemented as proposed. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for your comments. Who else would like to speak?
Sandy Hamm, West 230, South 3827 Milky Way Road. Well, the word has come down. We just need to have all of our landowners annexed into the city as soon as possible. Might as well just forget everything. Forget the border agreements. It's all, city's gonna bully you like they do New Berlin and put up 9 million gallons in the park. They're going to bully you on Sunset Road. I think it's just ridiculous. I saw in the paper last week, Mr. Running says we're going to exercise our rights. We're not even going to listen to the department administration. We're going to just go ahead and control what they do over there. I don't know if they've met yet. They're not going to read it as many times as they're supposed to. They're just going to push it through. If speaking on the matter is valued based on time, I'm going to lose because I think you guys all know how I feel. I'm in favor of the TID, and I think it qualifies. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Betsy Novak. S44W25357 Red Oak Drive. I'm sitting there listening to what the second speaker had to say. It is actually amazing because she goes through step by step on why we can't do this. But every time we turn around, the city of Waukesha is taking more of our property. It's taking everything that we have, everything that we value here, yet they don't want to do anything to help us. Every time we turn around, another business is going to be annexed into the city. It's going to be annexed somewhere else, and we're just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. I think we do have a valid reason for a TIF district. I think that things will be met. And I know a lot of people that want to incorporate into a village, and this is a step into doing that. They don't want to be annexed into the town or into the city anymore. They really want to have the values that we have in Waukesha, in the town of Waukesha, the lower taxes, things like that. And I really believe that we should go ahead with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Please come forward. Anyone else? Last call, last chance. All right, if there are no other speakers, I will declare the public hearing closed. And we will move on to item 9, discussion and possible action on Resolution 2019-R-07 pertaining to the Town of Waukesha Tax Incremental Finance District Number 1. The resolution is entitled, "A Resolution Adopting a Project Plan and Recommending the Proposed Boundaries of Tax Incremental District Number 1 of the Town of Waukesha, Waukesha County, Wisconsin." Discussion by the Plan Commission and the Town Board. Anyone who would like to speak? This is also agendized as possible action by the Plan Commission on possible adoption of that resolution. That's an action that could be taken tonight. This could be tabled tonight. I think those are the two options before you. Again, this is agendized for action by the Plan Commission. Go ahead. Oh, did you want to say something?
Oh, I wondered if our consultant had any comments or recommendation based on the comments you heard.
Well, that was a long list of things and some, I guess, new arguments that I haven't heard before. And I really don't want to comment on any specifics at this point in time, but I would respectfully disagree with those comments.
All right, let me, I guess, just follow up with a question. Would it be your pleasure to have an opportunity to respond to those at some future date or not?
Yes.
What is your thought going forward?
Yes, I would.
Okay. I will then move to table any action on this matter tonight. Is there a second from a member of the Plan Commission? Okay, there is no further discussion on the motion to table, so I made the motion to table. It was seconded by Commissioner Sisney. All in favor of tabling indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission.